That means it's time for At the Box Office. We're now joined by film critic Julia Swift to hear her thoughts on The Room Next Door. Hi, Julia. Thanks for being here.
Hi. So we have a little something different today. It's the holiday and we have all these huge kids movies coming out and, action adventure. This is a Pedro Almodovar film. And if you don't know him, he is a Spanish director who has won awards all over the world forever for so many films like All About My Mother and Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down and Pain and Glory, which was a very personal one that he wrote. And he writes and directs his films, and he tends to have films that center women and that also center people who are sort of on the fringes of society that we don't always get to see. This is a different film from Pedro Almodovar. It is his first film, feature-length film in English, and it stars Tilda Swinton and Julianne Moore, but it still is about someone that we don't always get to see, and that is, it's Tilda Swinton is starring as a woman who is dying of cancer, and she wants to go out of the world in her own way, and she runs into an old friend that she hasn't seen in like decades, like a really old friend, when you run into someone who you knew when you were young, when you were not questioning yourself as much and you felt like you were more authentic. And that's Julianne Moore. And even though they haven't seen each other in years, when they see each other, there's this bond. And so Julianne Moore agrees to go with Tilda Swinton and to help her. I'm not, to help her leave the world as she wants to leave it, we'll just say. But this film is so interesting because it really is just two women in a house in upstate New York, talking and listening, really listening and reconnecting. And John Turturro comes in as well. He's someone who had been in a relationship with both of them, and he sort of bring things onto a more political level, because really the whole film is about empathy. It's about listening to the people who are next door to you, across the world from you, people who are struggling to not turn away, but to really face them and listen, which can be hard. And it's so interesting because, I had read something recently. There's this new term going around in the world called cancer ghosting, which actually I also experienced when I was sick, which is people that you're really close to disappear because they get so nervous and uncomfortable about not knowing what to say. And this film is sort of the anti that. It's like, this is what you can do. All you have to do is listen. All you have to do is be there in the room next door. And then Almodovar through John Turturro sort of makes it even a bigger thing of let's not ghost other countries, right? Like we are all next door to each other, and let's not turn our back on pain in the world, even though it's hard, even though it's sad. You don't necessarily have to do anything, but listening and being there is so powerful and wonderful. So it's a really beautiful film. I will say, Pedro Almodovar's film usually have so much energy, and this doesn't have that energy. I wonder if it's because it was in English and not in Spanish. And so I wonder if it, or part of it was the subject, but I mean, the amazing Tilda Swinton and Julianne Moore are always amazing, and they are amazing in this. But I wish it had a little more of the energy of his films because I think it would get to a broader audience. So I hope we get that with his next English film. But it was very exciting to see Pedro Almodovar in English.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Julia, for sharing all of this. And for you out there, you can catch The Room Next Door out in theaters. And don't go anywhere. We'll be back after the break.